The screen turned on again. After they shut everything down. No power, no signal, no one touching it. But the message changed, and this time, it wasn't a warning. The observation room is sealed, power cut, systems offline, every monitor black, and yet, one screen flickers, faint at first, then steady. A single line appears, no interface, no system frame, just text burned into the dark. You missed it. Carter steps closer. Slow. Careful. Missed what? The second officer mutters. No one touches anything. Because last time, they did. And something answered. Carter turned slightly. Bring the system back up controlled. The backup power hums. Screens return one by one. Camera feeds, logs, timelines. Everything looks normal. Except one file is open, already playing. Timestamp, 2:26 a.m. Carter frowns. He paused that. The technician, new, quieter, freezes the frame. It's the building entrance, empty. Then, Ethan appears, walking in, calm, steady, like nothing ever happened. Carter's voice tightens. Zoom in. The image sharpens. Same clothes, same posture. No sign of distress. He walks to the elevator, presses the button, waits. No hesitation, no urgency, just routine. The second officer steps closer. Hold on. He pulls up the report. Ethan said he went to bed at 11:30 p.m. Carter nods slowly. And never left. Silence. Everyone looks back at the screen. Time stamp unchanged. 2:26 a.m. The elevator doors open. Ethan steps in, turns, faces the camera, and for a split second, he smiles. Not wide, not obvious. Just enough. Then the doors close. The room goes still. So where was he? The officer whispers. Had I for nearly 3 hours. No one answers, because the better question is already forming. Carter rewinds, frame by frame, Ethan entering again. Same motion, same timing, same expression. Run facial verification, she says. The technician types quickly. System scans. Matches. 100% identity confirmed. The second officer exhales slowly. So it's him? Carter doesn't look convinced. Or something wearing him. Silence. She rewinds again. Stops at the moment Ethan turns toward the camera. Zooms in. Closer. Closer. His face fills the screen. Eyes forward. But not focused on the lens. Slightly off. Like he's looking at something beside it. Something standing just out of frame. Carter steps back. And why lie? She says quietly. About something that can be proven. Hours later, Ethan's apartment, sealed, documented, reopened. Carter steps inside first. Same layout, same stillness. Nothing disturbed, but something feels wrong. Not visible, just off. The second officer checks the corners. Clear. Carter doesn't respond. She's listening. Neighbor statement? She asks. The officer pulls out his notes. Unit 3B reported hearing voices around 2 a.m. Carter turns slowly. Voices. He nods. Said it sounded like a conversation. A pause. But Ethan lives alone. Silence settles. Did they record anything? Carter asks. The officer hesitates. Building hallway mic picks something up. He hands her a device. Audio's not clean. Carter presses play, static, low hum. Then a voice, faint, distorted, but recognizable. Ethan, talking, soft, measured, like he's responding to someone. I didn't mean to. Static cuts through. I thought it was empty. Pause. Carter leans closer. Enhance that, she says. The technician adjusts the waveform, filters noise, boosts clarity. Ethan's voice sharpens slightly. You said it was safe. Silence. Then, a second layer of sound. Not clear enough to be called a voice. But something is there. A presence in the audio. Not words, not language, just a pattern. Like something trying to match him. The second officer frowns. Is that another person? The technician shakes his head slowly. There's no separate vocal signature? Carter's eyes stay fixed. Play it again. The audio loops, Ethan speaking, pausing, responding, as if listening, but only one voice is clearly audible. I closed it. Static. You said that was enough. Carter's grip tightens around the device. Enough for what? No answer. The recording ends abruptly. No footsteps, no door. Just silence. The second officer looks around the apartment. So he was here at 2 a.m.? Carter nods slowly. Talking to something? A beat. But at 2:26, he's entering the building. Silence. 2 timelines. 1 person. Both confirmed. The technician swallows. That's not possible. Carter looks at the phone on the table. Still powered down. Still disconnected. Neither was that, she says. The room tightens again. Then, a faint sound. Not from the hallway, not from the door. From inside the apartment, a soft knock. 3 times. Everyone freezes. Carter doesn't turn, because now she knows. It doesn't come from where you expect. The knock comes again, closer, from the bedroom. The second officer steps forward. Carter! Don't, she says sharply. Too late. He pushes the door open. The room is empty. Bed untouched. Window sealed. And nothing there. He exhales. Clear. Carter doesn't move. Her eyes are on the hallway because something just changed. The air, the silence, like something shifted positions, watching from somewhere else now. Then, the device in her hand vibrates. She looks down. The audio recorder still playing, even though it ended. A new segment begins. No timestamp, no source, just Ethan's voice, clearer than before, closer. You said they'd come? Carter's breath slows. You said they'd look. A pause. Then, the faint pattern returns. Stronger this time. Closer to forming something, matching his rhythm, echoing him. Not speaking, learning. Carter lifts her head slowly, eyes scanning the room. Then, the final line plays. Ethan's voice drops to a whisper. What happens when they do? Silence. For 1 second. 2. Then, a second voice. Not distorted. Not faint. Perfectly clear. Right behind the audio, right behind them. Answering. Now we can see them. The recording cuts. Dead. No movement. No sound. The apartment remains exactly as it was. Except, no one feels alone anymore. Carter doesn't speak. Because now, the timeline isn't broken. It's layered. And whatever Ethan spoke to at 2 a.m. didn't just hear him. It was waiting for someone else to listen to. The apartment stays sealed. No one speaks. Because now, every sound feels like a response. Carter lowers the recorder slowly. Her eyes move across the room, landing on the desk in the corner. His laptop, she says. The technician follows her gaze. Closed. Untouched. Too clean. Get it powered up, Carter adds. Minutes later. The device hums to life under controlled connection. External boot. Isolated system. No network access. And the technician types carefully. Same pattern as the phone, he mutters. Carter steps closer. What do you mean? Wiped, he says. Everything. Files, logs, partitions. Gone. A pause. Except, his fingers stop. There's something left. Carter's voice tightens. Show me. The screen displays a single directory. No name, just a string of random characters, encrypted, locked. Can you open it? The second officer asks. The technician tries. Password prompts, decryption tools, brute force attempts, nothing. It's layered, he says. Not standard encryption. Something custom. Carter leans in slightly. Meaning? Meaning whoever locked this didn't want it opened. Silence. Behind them. Ethan sits in a chair, hands clenched, eyes fixed on the screen. No, he says suddenly. Everyone turns. His voice is tight, controlled, but slipping. I didn't open it, he repeats. Carter studies him. Open what? Ethan shakes his head. I didn't, he says again. I swear I didn't. The room stills. Carter steps closer to him. You're going to have to be more specific. Ethan's breathing changes, shallow now, uneven. I saw it, he says quietly. A pause. But I didn't open it. Carter's voice drops. Where? Ethan hesitates, then, on the screen. The technician freezes. What screen? Carter presses. Ethan's eyes flick to the laptop, then away. It wasn't supposed to be there. Silence. Carter turns back to the device. Keep trying. The technician nods. Runs another sequence. Decryption fails. Again. Then the folder shifts. Not opens, not unlocks. Just changes. The file name flickers. Rearranges. Like something is rewriting it. In real time. The technician pulls his hands back. I'm not touching that. Carter doesn't respond, because the folder is no longer empty. A new file appears inside. Timestamp 2:14 a.m., same as the message, same as everything else. The second officer exhales slowly. That time again. Carter's voice is low. Open it. No, Ethan snaps. Everyone turns. I said I didn't open it, he shouts. The room tightens instantly. Carter steps toward him. Ethan, calm down. You don't understand, he says, shaking his head. You think it's data? It's not. A pause. It's a door. Silence. Carter doesn't react. Open what? She asks again. Ethan looks at her, eyes wide now, genuine fear. That. He nods toward the screen. The technician swallows. It's just a file. Ethan shakes his head harder. No. That's what it wants you to think. Carter's jaw tightens. Open it. The technician hesitates, then clicks. Nothing happens. No file, no content. Just a black screen, empty, silent. The technician exhales. See? Nothing. The screen flickers. A single frame appears. Grainy, distorted. A room. Not this one. Not Ethan's apartment. Somewhere else, dark, bare, and in the center. A chair. Empty. Carter leans closer. What is that? No answer. The frame glitches. Then, someone is in the chair, just for a second. Then gone. The technician jerks back. Did you see that? Carter doesn't respond. Because she did. The image stabilizes, zooms slightly, without input. The chair again, now clearer. And this time, the person is there, still, facing forward. But the face is obscured, distorted, like the hallway footage. The second officer steps back. This isn't preloaded, this is live. Silence. But then, the figure moves, just slightly. Head tilting, as if listening. Carter's voice drops. Enhance the audio. There is no audio, the technician says, but he runs it anyway. Static fills the speakers, low, uneven. Then a faint voice, not Ethan, female. Hello? The room freezes. The technician's hands hover over the keys. That's not from the laptop, Mike? Carter leans in. Say that again? The voice returns, clearer. Can anyone hear me? Carter's expression changes. Recognition. Run a match, she says. The system scans, cross-references, database hits. A name appears on screen, Lena Voss. The second officer exhales sharply. That's the missing journalist. Carter nods slowly. Reported 48 hours ago. The room tightens again. The technician pulls up external records. Phone logs, he says. I recovered from carrier backups. He scrolls, stops. Multiple outgoing attempts. To who? Carter asks. The technician looks up. Ethan. Silence. He didn't mention that, the officer says. Because it was deleted, Carter replies. A pause. But not everywhere. The screen updates. Connection attempts. Repeated. Persistent. Lena Voss to Ethan Cole. Time stamps align, right before everything started. Carter turns slowly toward Ethan. You knew her. Ethan shakes his head immediately. No. Carter steps closer. She contacted you multiple times. I never answered. Why not? I didn't know what it was. Silence. Carter studies him. Then, what was she investigating? The technician answers. Data leaks. Private surveillance networks. Unauthorized monitoring systems. A pause. Stuff that shouldn't exist. Carter's eyes narrow. And she disappears. Then contacts Ethan. And now she's inside an encrypted file on his wiped laptop. Silence. The screen flickers again. Lena's image stabilizes slightly. She looks closer now, more desperate. Please, she whispers. Her eyes shift, not at the camera, past it, like she sees something behind whoever is watching. Don't, she starts. The image distorts violently, cuts, returns to black. The file closes on its own. The folder locks. Encryption re-engaged. No access. No trace. The technician stares at the screen. I didn't do that. Carter doesn't respond, because Ethan is shaking now. I told you, he says quietly. I didn't open it. Carter turns to him. And she contacted you before she disappeared. Ethan nods faintly. But I didn't answer. Why not? Ethan looks at her. And then for the first time, there's no hesitation. Because I already saw it? Silence. Carter's voice lowers. Where? Ethan swallows. On my screen. A pause. Before she ever called. The room goes cold. The second officer whispers, That's not possible. But no one believes that anymore. Because now, the timeline doesn't just break, it folds. Lena didn't just disappear, she was seen, then accessed, and whatever Ethan refused to open is still there. Waiting. The lab falls into a controlled silence. No one touches the laptop. No one speaks. Because now, every action feels like a trigger. Carter straightens slightly. Trace the message, she says. The technician nods, already working. Routing logs, external pings, anything tied to 2:14 a.m. Keys click, data scrolls. Then, I've got something. Carter steps closer. I'll talk. It didn't come from a phone, he says. No SIM activity, no carrier routing. Then where? The second officer asks. The technician zooms in. A relay server. Carter frowns. Temporary. He nods. Spun up. Used once, then gone. Silence. Can you trace ownership? No registration. No persistent ID. It's like it was created just to send that message. A pause. Then deleted itself. The room tightens. So it wasn't sent manually, the officer says slowly. The technician shakes his head. No. Carter's voice lowers. It was programmed. Another pause. To send itself. No one speaks after that, because that changes everything. This wasn't a reaction, it was a sequence. Predefined. Timed. Carter glances at the board. 2:12 a.m., Unknown activity, 2:14 a.m. Message sent 2:26 a.m. Ethan enters building a perfect chain. Too perfect. This was set up in advance, she says quietly. The technician nods. Like whoever or whatever did this knew exactly when it would happen. Silence. Then Carter turns back to the laptop. Open the folder again. The technician hesitates. It relocked. Break it. He exhales, runs a deeper process, not standard decryption, something heavier, layer by layer. Time passes, minutes stretch. Then, I'm in. Everyone freezes. The folder opens. This time, no shifting, no resistance, just one file, sitting alone, untouched. The technician leans back slightly. That's it. Carter's voice is steady. Open it. The screen goes black. Then, a video loads. Timestamp in the corner. 2:12 a.m., 2 minutes before the message. The room leans in. The footage stabilizes. Grainy, low light, camera angle, laptop webcam facing inward. Ethan is on screen, sitting exactly where the laptop was found. But he's not calm, not controlled. He's panicked, eyes darting, breathing uneven, like something just happened. Start from the beginning, Carter says. The video resets, plays again. Ethan leans toward the camera, closer than normal, like he's making sure it captures everything. Then he speaks. If you're seeing this, his voice shakes. It means I didn't finish deleting it. The room goes still. The second officer whispers, "Deleting what?" Ethan glances over his shoulder. Not at the door, not at the hallway, at something inside the apartment, something behind the screen. "You weren't supposed to find this," he continues. His eyes flick again, faster now, tracking something. "It wasn't supposed to." He stops, freezes, listening. The room, watching the footage, holds its breath. Ethan slowly turns his head. Not fully, just enough to look at whatever is off screen. His expression changes. Not fear, not confusion, recognition. Carter leans closer. Pause it. The technician freezes the frame. Ethan's face is locked mid-turn, eyes focused on something just outside the camera's view. "Enhance that direction," Carter says. The technician tries, pushes the image, but the edge of the frame breaks apart, distorts, like it refuses to show more. "Play it," Carter says. The video resumes. Ethan reaches forward, grabs the laptop, hands shaking. "Maybe if I show it," he mutters. Then he turns the screen, angles the camera, pointing it toward whatever he's seeing. The room watching leans in, every eye fixed, every breath held. The frame shifts, and for a fraction of a second, something enters view, not fully, not clearly. Just enough. A shape, standing, too close, too still, facing him, facing the camera. The image distorts instantly, violently, pixels tear, audio spikes, then the video cuts. Hard, black screen, no ending, no file corruption, just cut, silence. No one moves, no one speaks, because every person in that room knows that wasn't an accident. Carter's voice is barely above a whisper. What did he see? No one answers because deep down, they already know. The same thing that was at the door, the same thing in the hallway, the same thing Lena saw. Before she disappeared, the screen remains black, but the timestamp lingers in memory. 2:12 a.m. 2 minutes later, the message sends itself. You shouldn't have opened it. Not a warning. A confirmation. Carter slowly straightens, her mind connecting the sequence. He opened it at 2:12. The second officer nods slowly. The message wasn't to stop him. A pause. It was because he already did. Silence. Then, The laptop screen flickers again. On its own, the video file reappears. But this time, there's no play button. Just a single frame. Frozen. Zoomed in. Closer than before, the edge of the distortion, where the shape almost formed, almost visible, almost clear. Carter steps back instinctively. "Shut it down," she says. No one argues. The technician pulls power. The screen dies. Black. Silent. But the damage is done. Because now, they've all seen it. Not fully, but enough. And the pattern has already proven itself. It doesn't need to be clear. It just needs to be seen. The room doesn't recover, not after the video, not after what they almost saw. Carter stands still, eyes locked on the dead laptop screen. "Bring the audio back," she says quietly. The technician hesitates. "That file, not the video," she cuts in. "The audio layer." A pause. Then he nods. The waveform appears, expanded, cleaned, stripped of distortion. Ethan's voice is isolated first, clear, panicked. "If you're seeing this, it means I didn't finish deleting it." Carter watches the pattern. "Now isolate everything else." The technician adjusts filters, removes primary frequencies, boosts the background, static fades. A second layer emerges. Faint at first, then clear. The room freezes, because the voice is identical. Same tone, same pacing, same inflection. Ethan, speaking again, but not in sync. And the first voice says, "You weren't supposed to find this." The second voice overlaps, perfectly timed. "You weren't supposed to find this." Not an echo, not a delay, a duplication. The second officer leans forward. "That's just feedback." "No," the technician interrupts. He overlays both tracks, aligns them. They match, exactly, frame for frame, but slightly offset, like two versions of the same person. Speaking independently, Carter's voice drops. "Play it from the turn." The footage resumes. Ethan turns toward the unseen. The first voice stops. The second voice continues, soft, controlled, not panicked. "You opened it." Silence fills the room. The first Ethan breathes sharply, the second doesn't. The first hesitates, the second continues speaking. Same voice, different intent. The technician leans back slowly. That's not possible." Carter doesn't blink. "Unless it's not him." The room tightens. Because now, there aren't just two timelines. There are two versions. Carter turns sharply. "Pull his system access logs, everything." The technician moves fast, cross-referencing devices, cloud backups, offline partitions. Then, he stops. "I've got something." Carter steps closer. "What is it?" "Software installation," he says. "Experimental. Details. Voice replication." Silence. The second officer frowns. "For what?" "Cybersecurity simulations," the technician explains. "Used to test social engineering attacks. Voice spoofing, identity mimicry." Carter's eyes narrow. "How accurate?" The technician doesn't hesitate. "Perfect." A pause. Same tone, same rhythm, same speech patterns. The room goes still. Carter exhales slowly. "So Ethan could replicate voices?" The officer nods. "Including his own?" Another pause. "Men run them simultaneously?" The technician nods again. "If he programmed it." Carter looks back at the waveform. Two identical voices, one panicked, one controlled. "So one of those," she says quietly, "wasn't him." Silence. Then, "Which one?" the officer asks. No one answers. Because now, that question matters more than anything else. Carter turns back to the timeline board, writes it out. 2:12 a.m., video recorded 2:14 a.m., message sent 2:26. a.m. Ethan enters building. She steps back, studies it. "There's a gap," she says. The second officer nods. 12 minutes. Carter's voice tightens. "What happened between 2:14 and 2:26? Silence. The technician scrolls through logs. "No device activity," he says. "No movement data. No camera footage." "Nothing," Carter presses. "Nothing." The room feels smaller now, and because gaps like that don't just happen, they're created. Carter walks slowly across the room, thinking, replaying everything, the knock, the door, the video, the second voice. Then she stops. "What if he didn't leave?" she says. The officer frowns. "But CCTV shows him entering at 2:26. Carter nods. "Exactly." A pause. "So who was inside at 2:12? Silence crashes down. The technician shakes his head slowly. "That doesn't make sense." Carter doesn't look away from the board. "Neither does any of this." She turns back. Eyes sharp now, focused. "We've been assuming one timeline," she says. "One version of events." A beat. "What if that's wrong?" The officer exhales slowly. "You think there were two?" Carter nods once. "Two Ethans." The room goes cold. One recording the video, one entering the building. Same face, same voice, then same patterns. But not the same presence. The technician swallows. "That would mean..." Carter finishes it. "Something copied him?" Silence. Then the system pings. Soft, sharp. Everyone turns. A new log appears. No source, no device, just an entry. Timestamp, 2:20 a.m., right in the middle of the gap. Carter steps forward. "Open it." The technician does. It's not video, not audio, just a line of text. Plain, unformatted. "Transfer complete." No one speaks, because now the gap isn't empty anymore. It's filled with something they didn't see, didn't record, didn't understand. Carter's voice is barely audible. "That's what happened between 2:14 and 2:26. The officer turns slowly. "What kind of transfer?" Carter doesn't answer, because deep down, she already knows. The first Ethan opened it. The second Ethan walked back in. And whatever happened in between didn't leave empty. The screen flickers once, then goes still. No more logs, no more entries, just silence. But the pattern is complete now. Observation, access, replication, and the final stage is no longer a theory. The apartment is reopened at dawn. Same door, same silence, same feeling, like something is already watching. Carter steps in first, slower this time, more careful, because now they're not just looking for evidence, they're looking for what they missed. "Full sweep," she says quietly. No one argues. Gloves on, panels checked, furniture moved, every inch examined, but nothing obvious stands out. Too clean, too controlled. The second officer exhales. "We've already been through this place." Carter doesn't respond. She's staring at the wall beside the desk. Not directly at it, at the slight difference in texture, almost invisible, but not to her. "Hold on," she says. She steps closer, runs her fingers along the panel, stops, presses. A faint click, the panel shifts. The room goes still. "Get that open," she says. The technician carefully removes it. Behind the wall, a compartment, small, hidden, deliberate. Inside, a storage device, old school, isolated, no wireless capability. Carter's voice lowers. "He didn't want this found." The technician connects it to a secure reader, offline, air-gapped, no external access. The screen lights up, Fragmented files, corrupted directories, pieces of something broken apart. Can you recover it? Carter asks. I'll try. Data rebuild begins. Bit by bit. Fragments reconnect. A structure forms. Not clean, but enough. Then, a file appears, so labeled L.Voss_transfer. The room tightens instantly. Carter steps closer. Open it. The technician hesitates, then clicks. Files spill across the screen. Documents, logs, video fragments, all tied to one thing: surveillance. Not random, structured, targeted. The second officer frowns. This isn't criminal activity? Carter's eyes narrow. No. A pause. This is observation. They scroll deeper. Profiles, behavior tracking, response patterns, subjects, dozens, maybe more. Each one monitored, analyzed, tested. Then, one file opens automatically, a profile. Name, Ethan Cole Silence. Carter doesn't blink. The technician scrolls, detailed logs, daily routines, device usage, psychological markers, reactions to stimuli. The officer whispers, "He's in here." Carter nods slowly. Not as an investigator. A pause. As a subject. The room goes cold. More files load. Experiment phases. Controlled triggers, observation checkpoints. One section highlighted. Phase 3. Response to uncontrolled access. Carter reads it quietly. Introduce anomaly, observe reaction, measure engagement. The second officer exhales. That's the knock. Carter nods. And the message? They scroll further. A final file, partially corrupted, but readable. It references Lena Voss. Digital journalist, the technician says. She was investigating this. Carter nods. And she found it. A pause. And sent it to Ethan. Silence. The second officer looks back at the laptop. So that file? Oh, was from her. Carter finishes it. And he opened it. The room tightens. Because now, everything aligns. The knock. The message. The video. Ethan wasn't guessing. He wasn't imagining. He was reacting to something real, something designed. Carter's voice drops. He wasn't the investigator. A beat. He was the subject. Silence. Then the lights flicker. Once, twice. The technician freezes. That's not connected to this system. Carter doesn't respond. Because she already knows this isn't about systems anymore. Hours later, Ethan sits in custody. Silent. Still, no resistance, no explanation. The case file is compiled, evidence aligned, narrative built. It fits, almost too well. Carter stands outside the room, watching him, trying to understand one thing. Was he hiding it or warning them? Her phone vibrates, soft, unexpected. She frowns. No signal, no connection. She checks anyway. A message. Single line. No sender. Timestamp. 2:14 a.m. Her breath stops. The same time. The same message. Hey, you shouldn't have opened it. The phone slips slightly in her hand. The second officer steps closer. What is it? Carter doesn't answer immediately, because this time, there's no relay server, no system, no trigger, nothing to explain it. She looks up slowly, eyes scanning the hallway, then back to the screen, because now the pattern has changed. It's no longer tied to Ethan. It's no longer tied to the file. It's still happening. The officer's voice lowers. If the message was automated? A pause. Who triggered it this time? Carter doesn't respond, because the answer is already forming. They did. By opening the file, by watching the video, by following the sequence exactly as it was designed. She looks back at Ethan through the glass. He hasn't moved, hasn't reacted, but something about him feels different. Like he's no longer the center of it, just the beginning. Carter's grip tightens on the phone. And was he covering something up? The officer continues. Or trying to warn us? Silence. No answer. Because one question still remains, the one no one can resolve. Carter's voice is barely a whisper. What was in the part of the video that got cut? The screen stays lit. The message doesn't disappear. And somewhere, deep in the recovered data, a fragment flickers, unopened, waiting. Watch it again because the clues were always there. If this story pulled you in, don't stop here. Because part 2 doesn't just continue the case, it changes everything you think you understood. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. The next video goes deeper, darker, and answers questions you probably didn't even realize were clues. And trust this, the earlier you follow, the more you'll catch. Because the details you missed the first time, they matter the most.